Good afternoon, everyone. A special thank you to our band and orchestra musicians under the direction of Miss Elaine Winchell and Dr. Carolyn Cardella for their performance of Pomp and Circumstance this afternoon. At this time, I would ask everybody to please rise, remove your hats as the Burica Memorial High School Chamber Singers, under the direction of Mr. Michael Rowley, perform our national anthem.
Oh, say can you see my dawn's early light? What so broadly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets and cradles bursting in air gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
So thank you. Thank you all for being here. This is the last of our 17 ceremonies, and we wanted to make this one special. Mrs. Murphy, who was a second grade teacher at the Ditson, used to complain to me all the time when we were in high school together that because her last name began with a V, she was always at the end of the line and always complained about it. So we always want to make sure I'm always reminded that even though you might be last alphabetically, we want to try to do some special things for your group that we have not done for the other groups. So we are going to try to make this ceremony as close to the real and authentic one that we would ever have at the Songus Arena. So I want to thank some people up front for agreeing to come back. So Roshni Bhatt, our class president, has come back. Mahati Athreya, our salutatorian, and Bella Tassoni, our class valedictorian, have all agreed to come back to this ceremony to give all of their speeches to this group. And this is the only time that's been done. Distinguished faculty, honored guests, friends, family, and the class of 2020. It is an honor to welcome you to the 124th commemoration of the Howe High School, Burica Memorial High School graduation celebration. Each year we meet at graduation and reflect upon the unique story that each class tends to write over the course of their 13-year educational journey. Every graduating class shares some similar characteristics, but each also seems to experience different events that tend to define them over time. The class of 2020 is different. You may have shared some experiences with those that walked this path before you, but let's be honest, no class has ever experienced this. As a former history teacher, I am always trying to put current events and trends into a relevant perspective. In your case, the historical perspectives are unrivaled. It isn't enough that you've had to deal with a pandemic that rivals the influenza epidemic of 1918, and you are now and will continue to deal with an economic crisis that rivals the crash of 1929, but you are witnessing civil unrest that mirrors the social movements of the 1960s and the explosiveness of 1968. That is powerful, that is significant, that is historical. Typically, at graduation, my remarks are reflective of gratitude. The work that the teachers and your families have undertaken over the last 13 years has gotten you to this point. I am thankful for the commitment of our teachers, and I am thankful for the partnerships with our families. We hope we have prepared you for what's next. We hope our lessons have been relevant so you could extrapolate your learning and apply it to the world outside of school. This year, more than any other year, you should be applying those lessons to the world around you. You may have gone through high school supported by a close-knit group of friends, unintentionally not seeing some of the struggles of your classmates. That statement can apply to all of us in some form. Our collective responsibility is to support all students, which means if a group of our students is feeling marginalized or unheard, then we all need to do a better job of listening. Self-reflection should not be scary or create anxiety, but embraced as a moment to see if we can do things better. And perpetual improvement is a goal for everyone. Some of you in the audience know my story. Some of you that may have been here for all 17 ceremonies could probably recite it better than I could. My father was the second oldest child of a family of 4, raised on the welfare system in the city of Charlestown. After graduating from Charlestown High School and serving in the U.S. Air Force, he met my mother, and they bought their first house in Billerica in 1965. Part of the reason they chose Billerica was my father did not want his children to be exposed to some of the bigotry and racism that he witnessed on a daily basis growing up. As a young child, I saw firsthand the busing situation in the city of Boston and often reflect on how little I truly knew. The first time I saw a no busing spray painted on the side of my aunt's sub shop on Bunker Hill Street, I literally thought it meant that the MBTA bus did not stop there. When I was a teenager, not that I was more enlightened than anyone else, but I thought these struggles with race would not impact my children. I thought naively that 30 years into the future, this will be solved. It isn't. Where my generation has not been able to solve this crisis, I truly believe your generation has a chance. Your generation has been activists and embraced activism at a young age, much like the generation of the 1960s, which means you will bother us older people, your motives will be questioned, and the challenge will be hard. To that I say, so what? Anything worth solving, especially this, is worth that effort. Keep talking. Let your voices be heard. But first, listen to others. Be tolerant of their positions. It is okay to disagree, but a differing opinion should not invoke a venomous response. Shouting only begets more shouting. Posting things on social media meant to demoralize, dehumanize, or denigrate should not be posted, period. And while I could continue to talk about these challenges and the losses felt by your class, all the events and the unwritten memories, the could have moments, I can't and I won't. The loss is real, I won't minimize that. But I tend to look for the positive things in life, and graduation in any form is a celebration. Remember that just about a year ago, you closed out that former building that for 3 years you may have complained about the smells, the bathrooms, can't drink out of the faucets. You walked from that building across this lot and you ushered in a new beginning for the town of Billerica. You were the first senior class to walk into this building. You were the first senior class that won our Spirit Week competitions. You were the first senior class that hoisted a state title. And you are the first class that will ever graduate on the grounds of this high school. In truth, your class will be the answer to hundreds of trivia questions for the next 50 years. When in doubt, class of 2020. Always remember, it is not a building that defines you or your experience. It is the people that we share our hopes, fears, failures, and achievements with that define it. Our traditions in Billerica are strong. We've been forced to deal with many historical things this year, but we persevere. I need to thank all of the elementary and middle school teachers for being here today. It's a true reflection of their continual unending support for you and wanting to be here to see you cross that finish line. In truth, it is simply not possible. This day would not happen without their work, faith, and effort in you. Your high school teachers have been in the enviable position of guiding you through the final phase of your public school education. These people have attempted to stretch your minds in a safe environment. They've had to look at you half awake, and not just over the last 2.5 months, but they've supported you at your kitchen tables, your family rooms. They've walked around your houses as you carried your laptops in engaging conversations about class and life, constantly wondering when this might all end. They encouraged you, they supported you, and in some cases quite literally dragged you across the proverbial finish line. For that and so much more, they deserve a tremendous thank you. I know you know this, but you could not have done this year without them. But you need to know your teachers would not have made it through this without you. It is a great reminder that when we speak about education, we know that students will not care about what we teach until they know we care about them. And although much of the focus of high school graduations is on teachers and students' high school experience, we know the most important aspect of your success is your parents and those that have chosen to take on a parental role in your life. These supporters of yours have taken on many roles over the last 13 years. They've been your champions, your ardent supporters. They've celebrated your successes, and they've picked up the pieces when things haven't gone your way, especially this year. They have borne witness to your happiest moments and your lowest lows, yet they have never wavered in their support of you, giving you the gift of unconditional love. Each year, the BMHS faculty recognizes members of each class that exemplify the pillars of BMHS pride with our annual Sumer Awards. These students go above and beyond their teachers' expectations with their hard work, perseverance, positive attitude, and willingness to help their peers. For the last 4 years, the faculty has identified 2 graduating seniors from the class that have stood above the rest to receive the prestigious Zadok Howe Award, which is the highest recognition our faculty bestows on a student. This year, the faculty could not settle on 2 students, and they chose 3. So if I could ask Alexander Scarfo to please come up. Jesse Wang, would you come up here, please? Roshni Bhatt. As a class, you have been challenged in a way that no other class before you has. You've been supported by a faculty that not only comprises your high school teachers, but those that helped build the foundation well before you arrived on this field today. And you've been blessed to be supported by family, and never forget the importance of friendships. When you leave here today, remember, walk tall, be proud, and more than anything else, be kind. Know that your success is because you are from Billerica, which means you take a back seat to no one. May your faith bless you all on your future journeys, and know that no matter where you may travel, there will always be a country road that will take you back home. Thank you. At this time, I would like to call up Class Salutatorian, Mahathir Thriya.
class of 2020. I want to start off by saying congratulations to all of you. It feels so incredible, but at the same time so strange, especially since we're here as a small group rather than our tremendous class of 350. Nevertheless, it is amazing to be here with all of you and celebrate such an important occasion in our lives. The moment we leave the familiar behind and step into the unfamiliar. The moment we actively start shaping our own destinies, our graduation. High school is a very unique period of our lives. We learned about the world, and more importantly, about ourselves. We each had great triumphs, whether it was a win against Chelmsford during the Thanksgiving football game, or a wildly successful play, or a great grade on an art project. But we also experienced failure. We experienced crushing defeats. We experienced it all. I struggled a lot with originally while I was writing this speech, because I couldn't seem to find a topic that truly encompassed the weight of this celebration. And I finally decided I wanted to capitalize on the failures we faced in high school. Because what I've come to realize is that more than the successes, the failures have played a great role in our presence today at our graduation. Our failures taught us invaluable lessons, spurred us to get up and try harder. I'm sure if everyone takes a minute right now and looks back at their high school memories, their failures will come to mind right along with their successes. High school failures come in many different forms. Maybe it's a bad grade, or the loss of a friendship, or staying silent in a situation where we should have spoken up. Maybe it's a broken beaker, relationship problems, or doing something you have come to regret. Maybe it was trying too hard throughout high school, or not trying at all. Our high school career includes many things that we will look back on and wish we could change. Sitting here today, we can't change those things, but we can learn from them. I say that failures contribute to our lives more than successes because they teach us the greatest lessons and they encourage us to act. All the things I just listed as high school failures are actually morals of the high school story. Get up and try again. Learn for the enjoyment and for knowledge, not for the grade. Be kind to everyone no matter how different they are from you, but at the same time, never let anyone take you for granted. Use your voice and educate yourself about things completely alien to you, and amplify the voices that need to be heard. Don't put your beaker behind your Chromebook, because then if you move your Chromebook, the beaker will fall off the table and break. Recognize that relationships can be a beautiful thing with the right person, but your happiness should always come first. Give more attention to the journey and not the destination. Life has a funny way of repeating situations until we learn what we have to and try it again and get it right. It is up to us to view the mistakes we've made in our high school career, the failures we have experienced, or the regrets we have, in a positive light. A light that leads to change. Change within ourselves, changes in our mindsets, changes that allow us not to fail in the same sense again. Ulrika is full of completely different people. Sorry, it's really windy. Ulrika is full of completely different people, but somehow we are all connected through these commonalities we share. How all of us have experienced both success and failure, and how, through whatever high school threw at us, we are all sitting here under the wide open sky, ready to move on. As a side note, I implore you to not only see the commonalities between you and your peers, but to further celebrate and honor the differences between you and your peers. Our diversity is our greatest strength, and I believe this especially applies to our class. At the beginning of this speech, I mentioned that this graduation is a reminder that from this point on, we must actively shape our own destinies. Life is a continuous learning process, and the greatest lesson we can hope to learn in our lifetimes is to pursue our destinies with clarity of mind and heart. I will take my hat off for the remainder of the speech because it is very windy. At the beginning of the speech, I mentioned that with graduation, we're all reminded that from this point on, we must actively shape our own destinies. Life is a continuous learning process, and the greatest lesson we can hope to learn in our lifetimes is to pursue our destinies with clarity of mind and heart. Now, if any of you see any resemblance between what I just said and some dialogues from Avatar: The Last Airbender, it's purely a coincidence. To conclude, I'd like to say one more quote from the show that really resonated with me, and I hope will resonate with all of you. It's time for you to look inward and start asking yourself the big question: who are you and what do you want? Thank you, class of 2020, for giving me the opportunity to speak before you today. I know I really fumbled with my hat, but Swendy, sorry. Words can't express how happy I am for all of you and how excited I am to see what the future holds. We truly are a powerful class, and I can't thank my stars enough that I'm part of it along with all of you. Thank you, and congratulations.
Thank you, Mahathi. At this time, I would call upon the class of 2020's valedictorian, Isabella Tassoni.
Welcome.
Where's my...
Right there.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much. Okay, step one, find my speech. All done. Good afternoon. Let me get these in order. Okay. What do I say to a class that has lost the most important part of their senior year? Over these last few weeks, that same question has been rattling around in my mind, seemingly unanswerable. I honestly had no idea how to approach this speech. In general, I really don't know why you'd want the valedictorian to speak at graduation. As the biggest nerd in the class, and yes, that's the official definition, I feel like it's pretty self-explanatory that I'd be more comfortable doing homework than speaking publicly. My dad may disagree, as he was valedictorian of his own class at BMHS about 5,000 years ago, but I also think he just loves hearing the sound of his own voice. Check Facebook if you don't believe me. On a more serious note, ever since I was a little kid, I've looked up to my dad for academics and athletics alike. To be able to share the title of valedictorian with him is something I never expected to achieve, and I'm so grateful for the opportunity, if only to show him just how much of an impact he's had on me. Anyways, aside from my overwhelming urge to start rattling off random math formulas, for a long time I didn't know what I wanted to say. I could have made the entire thing really positive and optimistic, because we should be optimistic. But, as important as it is to look on the bright side, I think that it's also important to address the situation for what it is. As such, I think that I have to say, straight off, that it is okay to be sad about everything that's happened. Our families, teachers, community, and even the media have done everything they can to try and give us something close to a true senior year. And as incredibly grateful as we are for their efforts, it doesn't change the circumstances. We lost our senior year and we can't get it back. That's it. However, that just means that we must cherish our memories from the high school that much more. Instead of lingering on everything we've lost within the past few months, we must instead focus on everything we've been lucky enough to experience over the last 4 years. Immediately upon our entrance to the high school on the first day of freshman year, we gained a family. A large one, no doubt, but a family nonetheless. From that point forward, our connection to Billerica Memorial High School would only grow. We've bonded with teachers, forming relationships that went much beyond learning. We've joined teams and clubs, coming together in different ways in order to work for one common cause. We've partied up at prom and other various dances, spending hundreds of dollars on flawless outfits that would be wrinkled by the end of the night. And nothing has been better each year than our unity as a class during pep rally, screaming our throats raw just so we could be declared the loudest. We've struggled in classes together and we've succeeded in classes together. We even got the chance to go to a brand new high school together. No matter how different we may be in looks or personality, I know that we're all the same at heart because we all come from Billerica Memorial High School. Senioritis is a funny thing. I spent most of my junior and senior year just waiting for high school to be over, and now all I wish is that I could have one more day. One more chance to see my friends and complain about whatever homework I had had the night before. Maybe I would annoy Mr. Googleman during study, or complain about the parking situation to Miss Button. I had always been annoyed by the traffic in the hallways and stairwells of the school, and now I realize that I may never see some of those faces ever again. It's the little things that you don't realize are important until they're gone. However, I know that although we may not all be together as a class today, we'll forever be connected both by our experiences at the high school and by our current situation. In a state of tragedy, we've had more done for us as a class than I ever could have expected. The overflowing amounts of love and empathy we've received with the loss of our senior year shows just how much our families, faculty, and community care about us. While nothing could make up for what should have been our senior year, in the absence of it, I have gained a true respect and appreciation for those around me that I do not think I would have had otherwise. In her novel, Their Eyes Were Watching God, author Zora Neale Hurston writes, "There are years that ask questions and years that answer." In our case, not only have our futures been questioned, but the state of the world as well.
However, I trust that when the time comes, our generation will answer in a big way. The world is changing, and I know that with us leading the cause, it will be a change for the better. To my mom, dad, AJ, and Cosmo, I love you. And to my friends, classmates, and the faculty and staff of BMHS, thank you.
So I think it's not lost on everybody that tradition is very important to us here, not only in Burica, but specifically here at the high school. One of those traditions is the commencement speaker for each year's graduation. Up until this point, we've always had an alumnus or a graduate from Burica Memorial High School or the Howe High School speak to the graduating class. Sometimes traditions need to be broken. At the beginning of this year, we learned that one of the key members of our team was going to retire. This man has been a significant key element to all of the positive and progressive changes that we've experienced at this high school over the last 14 years. He joined our staff in 2006, but more importantly, he chose to raise his family here in Billerica. And he's the proud father of 2 graduates from BMHS, class of 2010 and 2012. We hold strong to our traditions, but when the time is right, it's okay to change them. So for the first time, I would like to introduce to you a non-BMHS graduate as our keynote speaker. And all the way from Arlington High School, or right down the street, please welcome Mr. Kevin Brooks.
So I've said before, I'll say it again. Mr. Daigle, when I speak to him, and I say, yep, just another tumbleweed, and then I let him know that I was going to be doing this, he just looked at me and he said, you just remember one thing. He said, you're here by choice, not by birthright. And as a result, he said, you belong there. So I appreciate that, Mr. Daigle. Mr. Murphy, thank you. And a big thank you to my wife and daughters who have made great sacrifices to allow me to do what I love. I would not be here today without their love, support, and understanding. I love you, ladies. Now, when Mr. Murphy first asked me to do this, it was well before the pandemic came in. So I had to start running through some ideas through my head, kind of see what would be, what we'd talk about, and then all of a sudden, boom, no school. So I had to change my mind a little bit, start to think about, all right, what is it that we really will address? Should I talk about how you can go into a bank now and not have the police call you if you have a mask on, but they'll call them if you have it off? Or great tan line it's going to have. Maybe we'll talk about the great names that the kindergarten teacher is going to call out in about 5 to 6 years from now. You know, like Tina, short for Quarantina. Or maybe it's Baskin or Tiger. How about Purell? Or maybe Charmin. COVID Lee, Corona Lynn, or Pandemica. But what I really knew is that I was going to talk about challenges. So what is most valuable is that you learn from our challenges and become stronger with the knowledge from each and every one. Many times our greatest challenges are born from our own fear. We struggle with new things because they break from the routine, and we have to summon the courage to conquer those fears. So to begin to work through those fears, I summon the words of Nelson Mandela, who noted, I learned that courage was not the absence of fear, but the triumph over it. So think back and begin to see how many times you have triumphed over your own fears. When we're first born, our greatest challenge is to take that first breath before the doctor slaps us. After that, we have to find nourishment. Then it's time to crawl, begin to walk, and then the challenge becomes your parents. They have to clean your diapers. Then it's on to learning how to ride a bike, drive a car, learn a foreign language, and solve quadratic equations. And of course, the toughest one of all is trying to explain technology to your parents. And then, of course, you have to find the right match after high school. Yes, each and every day and each stage of your life will have its own challenges. However, when you find your dream, you don't give up. You make your adjustments, you garner your support, and you make your sacrifices. And then you attack your goals. You will make it if you have that determination. Now, as you graduate, you're going to move on to a new chapter in your life. Post-secondary training and education, paying off loans, bills, finding a career, getting married, raising a family, and dealing with loss. Eventually, you become a grandparent, and you have to face challenges all along the way. Your encounters will be many, they will be varied, and some will be more complex than others. We have faced challenges before, and we return to a new normal. And eventually, that new normal just becomes normal. So we have worked through things, such as the Spanish flu, the Great Depression, the blizzard of '78, 9/11, the Boston Marathon bombing, and way too many school shootings to mention. But all of these challenges have made us smarter and stronger. Being proud is something that is bred into you here in this town. In Billerica, competitiveness is one of those things that you were just born with. And it doesn't matter if you're playing a board game, you're working to get the best grades, or you're playing Saturday night trivia. This simple idea that you can be the best at what you do is part of your conditional growth in this town. That competitiveness will help you succeed. Now we come to your education. You are well prepared for success. You have teachers who simply care. They do what it takes for you to progress. From your kindergarten teachers, zipping up your jackets, teaching you to wipe your nose, and tying your shoes for you, to your high school teachers who you've made connections with and asked to write college recommendations. None of this happens in a vacuum. You must have vision and support to get it done. You have the great fortune of having a school superintendent who works with and in conjunction with the town. This working relationship helps to provide you with the things that you need to become well educated. And then, folks, then there's Mr. Murphy. In Mr. Murphy, you have the best, and I will say it again, you have the best example of leadership. Mr. Murphy pours his heart and soul into the school, its success, and each and every one of you. The teachers you see in front of you every day are a direct reflection of his high standards. Mr. Murphy has cultivated a culture of love. Love of their subject matter. Love of you, the students. Love of this school and love of this community. So as the state continued to remain ambiguous and provide little direction, planning began here for everything. Mr. Murphy reached out to the teachers to see what they needed to do their jobs. He then went out and got it. With each passing day, it looked a little less likely that we would have anything resembling a normal, traditional graduation. Mr. Murphy quickly obtained lawn signs and put together teams as we attacked the town to honor you all. And yes, it was done in a crazy fashion. Honking horns, calling you out on bullhorns, running sirens, and of course, Mrs. Lasky, Food Services Director, provided chipwiches and cookies. Had to make sure you got that. Now, you will get a chance to receive your diploma at a graduation ceremony that is unique and special to you. While you did not get to be part of a large crowd, you have your family here. No impersonal drive-by ceremony or going to a drive-in and pulling it off a table. Yours had to be special. It is the Billerica way. So yes, you will find out when you get to your next stop in life and conversations begin how great the leadership was that was provided by Mr. Murphy. So when you put all the pieces together, you will see why you were so prepared for your future challenges. Because you are from Billerica. And as a result, you are resilient, you are confident, you are persistent, you are well educated, and you are grounded in tradition. So we bring it back to where we began. You have nothing to fear. You are prepared for any challenge, and you will succeed because you are. And why? Why, you ask? It's because you're from Billerica. We meet any challenge head on, and we conquer it. You can go ask that Salem State professor from Somerville exactly what that means. So we thank you all. I thank you all for having me here today. And now what I suggest is that you all go out into that greater world. You show them who you are, and you show them what a Billerica Indian is. Thank you very much.
At this point, I would ask the class president for the class of 2020, Ms. Roshni Bhatt, to come up on stage and say some remarks.
Hello, teachers, faculty, family, and graduates. Before I begin, I would just like to say that if I had known I had to follow Mr. Brooks and I would get this teary-eyed, I would not have spent this much time on my eye makeup, but thank you again, Mr. Brooks. The worst part about graduation speeches, goodbyes, and endings like this is that no matter what you say, it's going to sound cheesy and cliche. I could insert a jab at Mr. Murphy, but quite frankly, those are getting even older than the jokes he reuses. Or, it's true though. Or I could insert an anecdote about mountains and roller coasters, or any other obstacle that could serve as a symbol of the chapter we have so oddly finished today. But that's boring and predictable. I promised myself I would make this memorable and worthy of your time. No pressure, right? I even considered rapping, but as fast as I tend to talk, it's far out of the question. This leaves a rather unfortunate dilemma. What on earth do I put in this speech that will make it memorable and different? Truth be told, nothing. Because there really isn't a single thing we haven't heard by now. We've heard all the usuals, the world is your oyster, anything is possible, and the classic, when one door shuts, another one opens. Senior year is filled with quotes like those. But senior year is also filled with laughter, memories, tears both happy and sad. It's filled with triumphs and lasts. We've sat in stifling classrooms where our skin peeled off of chairs at the end of class, where every classroom had a distinct smell and you could tell where in the building you were based on the frizziness of your hair. We began our high school careers scrambling from the 3200s to the 1300s, knowing the freshman house was always there for us, but being too afraid to ask for help because, of course, we're high schoolers now. We came in knowing the purple staircase was just a trick. We walked into the Ed James Gymnasium for pep rally expecting batteries and tomatoes. Speaking of old people, Mr. Brooks, I would be remiss to not thank you for everything you've done for our school, town, and community. For so many years, you have shaped our minds, our basketball team, and most importantly, you've taken care of where we park. I pity the classes after us that will have to do without your consistently pesky reminders that the doors lock in 2 minutes. We'll miss you, buddy. Just as we grew accustomed to the widespread maze of the old school, it turned into a scramble of figuring out which teachers are in what rooms. Not long after, we became well acquainted with the sound of metal on metal and concrete cracking. Our senior year threw us into a brand new school where we watched as the building that housed almost all of our high school memories came crumbling down. The cheesy thing to say here is that this is, in a way, symbolic of the end of our adolescence. But watching the old building come down was in no way the weirdest thing to happen to us this year. We started this year off in unfamiliar territory and were forced to end it in uncharted waters. For years now, you've all listened to me preach about how unforgettable and unbreakable our class is. every year, it seemed like I found yet another way to remind us all that we are meant to go down in history. I hope you know that this could not be further from what I wanted for us, and I just want to reiterate that this is, in fact, not our senior prank. You've listened to me drag on and on about all of our amazing qualities, but it is you, the class of 2020, that has put meaning behind these words. It is you that has not only lived up to each and every standard, but surpassed it. If I could change how this year went, I would in a heartbeat. But I wouldn't change the kinds of people I got to share the high school experience with. I know I said we hear more than enough quotes over the course of our high school careers, and somehow they always seem to be from famous people. I mean, they were everywhere in the old building. But the one I've thought of the most these past few months has been from my very own role model, my mom. A particular pearl of wisdom she likes to remind me of is, trial by fire is the only way to know what you're made of. So no matter what fires you are tried by going forward into the next phase of your life, I wish you the best of luck. Thank you all, and congratulations, BMHS class of 2020.
Now for the reason you're all here. At this time, I call upon Ms. Colleen Tracy and Ms. Steve Gleason as class advisors for the class of 2020 for the confirmative diplomas. Now, the only downside is most of the students out here right now have not been through this before, and so they're not quite sure what we're doing. And every year, as you might imagine, we have graduation rehearsals to explain to kids how the process works, so when they're actually the songists, everything runs very smoothly. And so we schedule a graduation rehearsal every year. We have the system down to about an hour and a half, and still, believe it or not, they complain. Why do I have to get up at 7 o'clock in the morning to learn how to walk in a single file line, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera? So, as our gift to you, we're going to do graduation rehearsal in 60 seconds or less. When your name is called, you're going to come up onto the stage on the right-hand side, up to the third step, come to the middle. If a member of your family is conferring the diploma, we would ask that you come up to the left-hand side of the stage, up to the third step. I will hand you the diploma. You can come to the middle. If a family member is conferring your diploma, you can take your mask off. We have a photographer here to get your picture. If I am conferring your diploma, I apologize up front, but I am not allowed to take my mask off, but I will still meet you in the middle. If you chose no contact, the diploma will be here on the table. You can pick the diploma up from the table, and again, third step in the middle, and then get your picture. Once you've received your diploma, you can make your way back to your seat, wait till everybody is done, and then I will give you further directions. I would ask if you are wearing anything other than sneakers, just be careful as you're walking on. As you might imagine, the pollen builds up as the day goes on, so the surface gets a little slippery. So if you're wearing anything other than sneakers, just be a little bit more mindful. Second, or last thing, because I always think this is important, it's always about perspective. And so most of the kids are here in the alphabetical order in which they should be. We have some guests that came with us and agreed to come back, and I am forever grateful for that. We have one other student who's actually not in alphabetical order, who's here with us at this last one, and quite literally got clearance from Boston Children's Hospital 2 days ago to be able to attend her graduation ceremony, and she is now fighting cancer. So it sometimes puts things into perspective in terms of value and importance, and how happy and proud and thrilled that we got that phone call that you could be here with us today, Ulysses. So awesome.
Hey, BMHS Class of 2020, fellow alumni Tom Glavin here. Hey, I just wanted to reach out and congratulate you guys on your graduation. What a tremendous achievement that is, the end of one phase and the beginning of a new phase in your life. And I know it's just an exciting time for all of you guys as you get ready to look forward to that next chapter. And many of you are going to be heading off to college this fall, while others are going to be taking a different career path. But in any event, I just wanted to reach out again and wish you guys all the best. I know what an exciting time it is for you, like I said, as you end one chapter, begin another, and look forward to all the new opportunities that have come your way. So good luck to all of you guys. God bless all of you, and look forward to big and great things from all of you in the future. Good luck.
I've only got to say this one other time out of 17 ceremonies. So this will be the second. Roshni Bhatt, class president, will you join me on stage? Just for your last test, just make sure that your tassels are on the right-hand side. Okay, good. Yeah, awesome. Sticking with our traditions, at this time I always ask if anybody is in the audience today that is a graduate of Birica Memorial High School or the Howe High School, please stand. We do this for a couple of reasons. One is it's an expression of the tradition and those that have walked in your footsteps before today. Second, it allows you to get a glimpse in terms of some of the people that are out here, what they might do and what are potential pathways for you when you leave here. And third, if you look over here to your left, these are the people that you invited to the graduation ceremony. Notice how many of them are standing. How many have walked the same steps you have? And I'll always say this, if you want to affect the most positive change in the world around you, become a teacher. Okay, graduates, please rise. It is my distinct honor and privilege to pronounce that in accordance with the laws of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts and the policies of the Birica Public Schools, the aforementioned students on this 10th day of June in the year 2020 have fulfilled all of the requirements for graduation and their high school diploma, and as such are now officially proud members of the second oldest alumni association in the United States. Turn them. Let them fly. There it is. So before I ask the teachers to do one of our final traditions, I can't end the last 3 days without saying thank you. To the custodial staff at this high school, guys, I cannot say enough of what you've done over the last 3 days. Without their hard work and effort, this would not have happened for you kids, honestly. I need to single out our food services, April Lasky, Cheryl Green, and Tracy Cassidy. Our entire secretarial staff, but I have to point out one who is also a BMHS graduate from the class of 1984, Eileen Souza, who actually put our program together this year for you. Usually we're at plays or musicals and people talk about the director and how important they are, and they usually point to a booth up there and people kind of wave, but they really can't see anybody. So for the last 3 days, underneath this stage has been Mr. Deerbeck, the Director of Fine Arts. The only reason I don't feel that bad is there's shade under there. I need to say thank you to Shawmut Construction. Again, the signs out here congratulating you, making sure it remained quiet for 3 straight days of construction is not easy. And I will also tell you now, at the end of the ceremony, we don't own the field out in front of the school yet, but they have granted us permission for the last 3 days to allow students and their families to go on that field to take family photos underneath the scoreboard that reads 2020. You all have that opportunity when this ceremony is over as well. Just a couple more, I promise. Mahoney's too actually donated all the flowers for today's, for the last 3 days ceremony. The Alumni Association, and at the end of this, I have a gift from them for you, actually welcome you as members of the Alumni Association. I would also like to thank specifically, and I certainly hope this is recorded somewhere, the town of Billerica, but specifically Miss Crystal Bennett. She is the Director of Public Health, and on social media over the last 2 weeks has been eviscerated by members of this community. Without her, this doesn't happen. And I can't thank her enough, and that needs to be done publicly. Last but certainly not least, 2 groups. One, these people over here on your left. These teachers, these paras, these secretaries, everybody who was a part of your life when you were in this building chose to be here. And some, wave your hand, some people have been here every ceremony for 3 straight days. They didn't want to miss one moment for one kid at any time. Awesome. And last, as you might imagine, but certainly not least, are the people that surround me closest on a daily basis. My fellow administrators, this does not happen in a vacuum. This is not one person. I could not be surrounded by greater people. I could go around and name every single one, but I'm not going to do that. The only one I'm going to name is the person to my left, which is Kevin Brooks. Sometimes in the moment of ceremonies, things get lost. The impact that he has had on this building, our kids, this community is profound, and it will not be replaced. So in just a moment, we're going to finish up with one of the most important traditions of every graduation. Students receive their diploma. After they receive their diploma, they get to walk down the center stair, and they get to quite literally walk through their history of their education from pre-K all the way through grade 12, surrounded by the teachers that they invited. There is no way we would have any type of a graduation ceremony without being able to have that. And Miss Bennett gave us permission to do just that. So teachers, one final time, please assume your positions and form the gauntlet. To the parents, I promise you I do not give this speech on an annual basis. Teachers, do not touch the students. Students, do not touch your teachers. In just a moment, Mr. Batari is going to take you out. He's going to lead you to the beginning of the gauntlet. You're going to walk through the gauntlet. When you get to the end of the gauntlet, I will be there. I have a gift for you. And you will also meet your parents at the end of the gauntlet as well. And this concludes our ceremony. On behalf of the Billerica School Committee, the administration and faculty of Billerica Memorial High School, thank you all for being a part of this graduation ceremony this afternoon. Students, I hope there's an opportunity for us to get together one time before you leave. I truly do. If there's not, please know that no matter where you go, there will always be a country road that takes you home. Mr. Batari, take them out.
Towards a new horizon, growing like the I belong. Billerica, job is brewing. Take me home, break a road. All my memories gather around here. Let's be Chelmsford Indians forever. Sports or Deca, we will always win. We can't get defeated with trophies in our hand. Break a roads, take me home to the place I belong. Billerica, Chinese restaurants, take me home. Break a road. I hear the cry of the fans from Billerica. The green and white reminds me of my home far away. And driving down Boston Road, I get a feeling that I should have been home yesterday. Yesterday, break a road.